If you've ever stared at a laptop spec sheet and thought, will this actually work for me? Or am I just throwing money at a shiny box? You're not alone. Most of us have been there trying to balance raw power with the reality of a daily workflow, wondering if the machine will survive a marathon gaming session, a tight deadline edit, or a mix of both. You don't want to waste cash on a device that looks great on paper, but ends up gathering dust because it can't keep up with what you actually need. That's exactly why I'm diving into the msi Crosshair 18HX laptop, a beast that promises an Intel Ultra 9275HX, RTX 5070, 64GB of RAM, and a massive 2TB SSD. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about who this laptop is really built for. If you're a professional game developer, a video editor who works with 4K footage, or someone who wants a portable workstation that can also run the latest AAA titles at high settings, the Crosshair 18 is screaming your name. The combination of an 18-inch 2.5K display and the RTX 5070 means you can see more detail while you edit, and you can actually play games at 144 Hz without the screen becoming a bottleneck. On the other hand, if you're a casual gamer who mainly plays indie titles, or you mainly need a laptop for web browsing and office work, the price tag and size of this machine will likely feel excessive. The sheer scale of the screen alone makes it less ideal for frequent travel. It's more of a bring-it-o-thief kind of device than a throw-in-the-backpack-and-go unit. What really sets this model apart is the MSI Overboost technology. In theory, that translates to a combined 170 W of power across CPU and GPU. And what that looks like in a real-world scenario is that your rendering jobs, physics simulations, or AI-driven tasks finish noticeably faster than they would on a typical gaming laptop. I put together a quick test using Adobe Premiere Pro, rendering a 10-minute 1080p project with several effects. The Crosshair 18 clocked a rendering time roughly 20% quicker than a similarly spec'd competitor that only offered 130W total output. That's not a typo. The extra wattage isn't just a marketing number, it actually shows up when you push the machine hard. But power comes with a hidden trade-off: heat. MSI's advanced cooler boost tries to manage the thermal load with a dual-fan design and a high-efficiency heat pipe layout. When the CPU and GPU hit their peaks during that same Premiere test, the fans ramp up to a noticeable whine. The laptop stays within safe temperature margins, but the fan noise can become a distraction if you're recording voiceovers or trying to focus in a quiet environment. In a typical gaming session, the fan profile feels more like a background hum, but it's something to consider if you need a silent workspace. The 18-inch 25601600 screen is a real treat for any visual work. The color accuracy out of the box is decent, close to 100% sRGB coverage, so you won't need a hardware calibrator for everyday tasks. For gamers, the higher resolution gives you a bit more screen real estate than a standard 1080p panel, which means UI elements are sharper and you can spot distant enemies a tad earlier. However, that same high resolution can also be a performance drain. If you're trying to run the newest games at ultra settings, you may need to drop down to 1080p or use scaling options to keep frame rates solid above 60 frames per second. That decision is a balancing act. You get gorgeous visuals, but you might sacrifice smoothness in the most demanding titles. Memory and storage are where the Crosshair 18 really shines. 64GB of RAM isn't just a buzzword. It allows you to keep dozens of browser tabs open, run multiple VMS, and edit large media files without hitting a wall. In a multitasking scenario, think running Photoshop, VS Code, and a virtual Android emulator simultaneously. I saw stable performance with virtually zero swapping. The 2TB SSD ensures you have enough room for a hefty game library, large video projects, and plenty of backup space. The drive's NVMe interface also means you'll experience snappy load times. Games load in under a minute, and software boots almost instantly. One aspect I wish MSI had highlighted more is the inclusion of Windows 11 Pro. For users who need enterprise-grade security, remote desktop capabilities, or the ability to join a domain, this edition saves you the hassle of upgrading from a home version. The professional license also brings features like BitLocker encryption and Hyper-V support, which can be crucial for developers or IT professionals. For the average gamer, the extra features may go unnoticed, but they add genuine value for the right audience. Now, let's address the price. This is not a budget laptop, and I'm not going to pretend it is. The headline specs are undeniably impressive, but you're paying for a combination of top-tier components, a large high-resolution display, and a set of enterprise-focused software features. If you compare it to buying a desktop workstation and a separate monitor, the price difference shrinks.